Welcome to the John Freakin' Muir Pod. Lace up those boots and sling on the pack for a romp through trails, short and long. With your host and Renaissance man, Doc. It's time to embrace the suck.
Welcome back to another week on the trail. I'm Doc, and this is the John Freakin' Muir Pod. Let's start off with a reminder. If you are enjoying the podcast, take just a minute, help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're not enjoying the pod, well, just go ahead and keep that to yourself. All right, let's get to this week's guest. We are going international this week. We're reaching down south, across the border, and inviting a mountain climber and a PCT thru hiker from the south, from Mexico, Lourdes Aguiniga. How's it going, Lourdes?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Did I mispronounce your last name? Is it Aguiniga or is it Aguiniga?
It's Aguiniga.
Aguiniga.
Don't worry, even here, they always get it wrong. So it's okay.
Okay, so I fit right in then. Very good. All right. Hey, we only go by trail names here on the podcast. So I'm Doc. I imagine with you being on the PCT for 2,600 miles that you may have picked up a trail name. Did you pick one up?
Yes, I did.
What is your trail name?
My trail name is TARS. Like this, I don't know if you know the robot. Have you watched Interstellar?
Yes.
The movie with Matthew McConaughey. Mm-hmm. So there's this robot that I think it says Anne Hathaway. It looked like a square, but it looks funny. Uh-huh. So the story behind it is that one of my friends said that I was going downhill and I was going really fast, but using my poles. I do like to use my poles a lot. So she said that I look like this robot. So I thought it was I thought it was funny and cool. So yes, that's my trail name.
Okay, and what is the name of the robot again?
TARS, like
TARS.
TARS.
TARS. Okay, TARS. I can distinctly see the walking motion of that robot from Interstellar. So I have a good image in my mind of how you were going down that hill. TARS.
Yes.
Okay. TARS, have you listened to the podcast before?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So I only ask because I want to make sure you're aware of a segment towards the end of the episode called the Pro Tip Insight of the Week. That's when I will turn to you and ask you to share some bit of wisdom for our listeners to make their next outdoor experience even better. So you ready for that?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Do you have a favorite episode?
I've listened first to the one of Jeff Garmeyer, the first time that you had edited him and on the podcast. He was talking about his the Triple Crown, the calendar Triple Crown. And I also listened to the one of Little Skittle. Okay.
Those are two good episodes.
Yes.
Very good. And we are talking tonight. I'm in Southern California. You are in central Mexico in San Luis Potosi?
Yes.
Is that close?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Which is about 5 hours from Mexico City?
Yes.
Okay.
North of Mexico City.
How big is that town?
It is big. It's city. It's like 1.5 million people.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
From our earlier conversation, I thought maybe it was a little bit smaller because you're telling me that you are the first person from your hometown to hike the PCT.
Yes, but I think it's more about the outdoors culture in Mexico. Not a lot of people know what true hiking is. So as far as I know, there's another girl who did the PCT before me. But as far as I know, I'm the second one who has done it. But and then this year another girl also did it. But when you tell people about that you want to do the PCT or that this trail or these long trails exist in the US, they don't understand what it is. Mm-hmm. So every time I talk with people, it comes always to very basic questions about like where do you sleep, or the food, the shoes, like very very basic questions.
Okay, so I'm changing my notes right now. Make sure that I don't ask those questions. That I ask some better questions of you. But no, I'm kidding. I have some good questions for you. And
Yes,
because of the culture in Mexico and not being necessarily an outdoor adventure type culture, I am very interested to hear about how you became involved in outdoor adventure. But we'll get to that. That's in a little bit. I've got some questions on that. So you are a little bit of a celebrity in your hometown because of your experience on the PCT. Also, another segment here, we'll start getting into some specifics on hiking and gear. Because another feature that we do on the podcast is the must bring gear review sponsored by the ultralight backpacking gear company Outdoor Vitals. And here's how it works. If you were to let a stranger pack your bag with pretty much generic gear for a multi-day hike, what is the one specific piece of gear you would insist on being packed? And if you've got a particular brand for that specific piece of gear, even better. So TARS, what is your must bring piece of gear for the trail?
I would say it has to do with my shoe system. So I have to pick one. I know I have to pick one because I would do my shoes and my socks. I'm going to pick the socks, which those are toe socks, the Injinjis. So it's a must because I actually didn't have any bad blisters during all the PCT. I did have like maybe small little blisters, but I know that a lot of people struggle with blisters in their fingers. And actually, when I started with mountaineering, I was getting blisters, especially when I was leaving the mountain, when it was a downhill to go back to my car. Then when I discovered the Injinjis, I was using the same boots still, and I forgot about the blisters. They're amazing.
Yeah, it's magical when your feet don't bother you at all. You're able to focus on the fun stuff out there. But if your feet hurt, if you're in pain with your feet, it's no fun.
Yes, especially seeing everybody like suffering with blisters, and this didn't happen for me.
Nice. Yeah, you are not the first person to mention Injinji toe socks. I gave them a try this past summer on a 125-mile hike, and they were phenomenal. They did a great job.
Yes, I usually don't like this for like my normal life, the toe sock thing, but it's just like the way they work. I don't get any blisters in my toes. So
okay,
that's the purpose. So
all right, since we're talking about feet, trail runners or boots for the PCT? Runner. Trail runner. And do you have a favorite brand?
I use Hoka's, the speed coats.
Okay. Hoka's, very good. You know, I have not used Hoka's on the trail. I did just get a pair of Hoka's for street running, and I've got a marathon coming up in 3 days down in San Diego that I'm using my Hoka's in, and I'm very happy with the Hoka's. They are a good product.
Yeah, I have a friend who also tried them for a marathon that he just ran, I think, last week, and he loves them too.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I feel even more confident now heading into Sunday.
That's great. Good luck.
Thank you. Now let's talk about the rest of your gear. What was your base weight for the PCT?
My base weight, I weighed my backpack. I didn't weigh anything until one day before leaving to the US. So I just wanted to know that if it was too heavy, then if I wanted to see if I could drink something. But I weighed everything one day before, and it was below 12 pounds. So yes, it was actually pretty light, I think.
Okay, yeah, that is a good weight.
That's how I started, and then I never weighed it again during the whole trail. I think maybe in the desert at the beginning, it might have weighted a little bit less, but then I'm sure it weighted more, because then I started, since I didn't have a lot of things to drop, instead of dropping things, I was picking more things. So yes, because for example, I picked a pillow in Oregon.
You picked up what?
A pillow.
Oh, a pillow. Yes, yeah, that's important. A full-size pillow or an inflatable pillow?
Inflatable pillow.
Yeah.
The Nemo Philo, the small one, because I don't know. There's like a difference. it's a pillow that they have two sizes, and
Mm-hmm.
I picked the small one, of course.
Okay. Now let's talk about your sleep system. Are you a sleeping bag or a quilt?
Quilt.
Quilt. Okay.
Yes, quilt, but I actually bought it's an enlightenment equipment, 10 degrees, and I actually bought it specifically for the PCT. I think this was the most expensive thing that I had to buy for the PCT. The rest of the things, most of them, I already had them.
Mm-hmm.
And for this, and then I tried it once. I went to the mountain on December, to the Ista, and it was good. So yes.
Okay. And what was it rated down to? What temperature?
10 degrees.
10 degrees Fahrenheit?
Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And that was the most expensive piece of gear that you had?
Yes.
Got it.
That I had to buy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had a Nemo tent, one person, the Nemo Hornet, but I already had it from 1 or 2 years before, so I didn't have to buy a tent specifically for the PCT.
Okay, so we have the quilt, the Enlightened Equipment 10-degree quilt. We've got the Nemo Hornet, one person. What was your backpack?
Waymark. I had a Waymark.
Okay.
I think it's a light one. Yes, which I actually didn't see a lot on trail. But yes, I loved it. I would always brag about my bag, because I mean we as hikers love to brag about our gear when we love it, and I did love it. I would always say that if anybody would want to give me another backpack, I would say no. I would just stick with my Waymark.
Okay, and what was the capacity of the Waymark? How many liters?
I think it was 48 liters. So I was used to I was using frame backpacks,
Mm-hmm.
specifically Osprey, but since I was doing more mountaineering than hiking, that made more sense. So I decided to get this one to do this transition to a frameless backpack. Because otherwise, I think if I buy another one, maybe I would go with a less capacity.
Yeah, I think when you have more capacity, you have a tendency to want to put more stuff in it, right? And so it just keeps adding up. I think if you have a smaller capacity backpack, then you're forced to make choices and
Yes.
make sure that you're not putting too much in there.
Yes, and I would almost always find myself rolling almost all the top. So that's why I say that maybe I could have a less capacity.
Yeah, you had some extra room there.
Yes, the good thing is that with these 48 liters, I could put my bear canister inside of the backpack.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, and then I found that it was more comfortable than put it on the top. Yes, because I started putting it on the top like you see everybody doing it.
Right. All right. Hey, let's back up a little bit. I really want to get into your background, where you grew up. Did you play sports and hobbies when you were growing up? And then how did you get involved? This is the very interesting part for me. How did you get involved in through hiking and mountaineering, being from a town or an area where, that wasn't a big emphasis with everybody? So tell us about where you grew up.
Yeah, so I grew up in the city, San Luis Potosí, that we mentioned. I actually didn't grow up doing any outdoor activity at all. And not only me, but I don't have any family that does this here. Like none of my friends did it. But it was until I moved to Mexico City that I saw another friend that was doing some mountain activities, and I was very curious. But I actually wasn't looking to do mountaineering, because I actually looked I thought that it looked so difficult that I could never do something like that. So I wanted only to go camping, but I didn't know anything at all. So what I did is that I joined a mountaineering club in Mexico City from a university, like one of the biggest universities in Mexico. And that's how I learned, how I started with mountaineering activities. So it was very good because it was a course of 15 weekends. And then every 2 weekends we did hiking, sports climbing, speleology, canyoneering, and mountaineering. And from then, what I liked the most was mountaineering. And since around Mexico City, there are you have very, very high mountains, then I started to go into these mountains, and it changed my mind from going I could never do something like this to going slowly yes, I can do this. And it's the first time that I remember that I went to this mountain that most of the mountains around Mexico are volcanoes. So this one is called Nevado de Toluca. I remember that I was getting to the top and I felt so alive. I was feeling like this is living. This is what living it really is. And I remember, and I had these moments, this period that I was like, why didn't I had this in my life before? Because I feel that I wasn't living before, that I was just, I don't know, living letting the life pass.
Right. And for our listeners out there who may not be watching this on YouTube, you really need to stop and go to the YouTube video of this interview, because her face just lit up as she was talking about this. I mean, she's completely transformed. She's got this big old smile on her face, and she's talking about Nevado de Toluca, which is 15,350 feet high. And so this is almost 100 feet taller than Mount Whitney, which is the tallest mountain in the continental United States. So it is, I mean, just seeing her the look on her face, this was a transformational experience, I can tell.
Yes, it was. Yes, it changed. For me, there's a before and after started doing mountaineering and doing outdoors activities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what are you doing currently to pay the bills? What do you do for a living?
So right now I don't have a job, but before that I was working I was doing a strategic planning, and I had a very corporate job from 9 to 5. In a big CPG company back in Mexico City.
Okay.
Yeah, so I worked there for almost 7 years, and so I quit to do the PCT. I did really like my job. I hear a lot on the PCT that a lot of people quit their job and do the PCT because they didn't like the job. They wanted to make a change in their life. But I did really like it. I actually I want to go back to do the same thing, strategic planning. But next year I'm going to move to Spain to do an MBA, and it's going building on the same career path.
Wow! Congratulations, Spain. Have you been to Spain?
Yes, just for a couple of days to Madrid too.
Okay, there's some hiking in Spain too.
Yes, there's Camino de Santiago. So
that's right.
I will try to do that one, and there's I think another one in in the south in Mallorca. Mm-hmm. So yes, yeah. I still don't have right now. I
Oh, you froze up there. We didn't hear that last sentence. Why don't you try that again? So you're talking about the trail down south, and
that I still don't have I still don't have any specific plans about the Camino de Santiago, but for sure I want to do it. After the PCT, I want to keep doing more trails.
Okay. Now the Camino is much different than the PCT.
Yes, everybody. Yeah. Yes.
You actually get to eat dinner, have a drink, or have some dinner in a local town. It's a lot less remote than the PCT.
Yes, for sure. It sounds way easier. I mean, there are more trails in Europe. There's one in Israel and also in Croatia. But I have to look into that. I have to see what my situation in my life is to be able to do it. If I were to stay here in Mexico City, I think I would plan to do trails in the US, like the JMT for sure. I would love to do the JMT.
Now you mentioned Croatia. The Croatian Long Trail was created by Nikola Horvat, and we had him on the podcast. And he put that trail together after hiking the PCT. He wanted to do something in his country similar. And there aren't a whole lot of people yet that are hiking the Croatian Long Trail, and they get pretty good hometown service up there. When people know that there are folks hiking the Croatian Long Trail, the locals kind of coordinate and do a lot of trail magic out there.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
I did see, I have to hear that. I have to listen to that episode. I did see, I think I saw it on the descriptions on this podcast, but I haven't listened to it.
Yeah, it's a great, he is a great interview. He was a lot of fun to talk to. I found him through his video that he put together, kind of a little documentary. And it was called, Why Do I Hike? And it was pretty deep, pretty thought provoking. And so he did a great job in the interview too. So yeah, take a listen.
Okay. Yes, for sure.
Okay. Now I have in my notes here something about rugby. Are you a rugby player?
I used to be. I totally want to get back to it, but I switched it for mountaineering. I was playing rugby. I played for 1 year and a half, and I actually was very happy, but I was very curious about this mountaineering, and I decided not to play the season, to take this course of this 15 weekend course in this association, and then I stay in the mountains. So, but I hopefully can take that too in Spain, because also here in Mexico it's very, very small rugby.
I was going to ask, is rugby a big thing in Mexico? I hadn't known about that.
It is not. It's not very big. It's like also the community is so small that you can. It's so small that I know I have friends that are in the national team, and it's just because there's because the community is so small that I just play for a little bit. I'm able to be friends with them, so that's how small it is.
Yeah, rugby, those guys and girls, they are tough. I mean, you look at American football, they've got all these pads on and helmets, and rugby, it's nothing. It's their shirts and shorts, and there's some serious contact going on out there.
Yes, and there's a lot of pride about just keep playing until you can.
Yeah.
If it hurts.
Yeah, it's a pretty macho sport, which that fits with Mexico, right? I mean, there's some machismo down there.
Yes, but I think it's not actually. I think it's rugby. It's the opposite. I think it's a very gentleman sport. Yes, because I don't know. There's the first time that I went to a rugby match. It was because my friend took me to a rugby match, and his friends were playing there against, I think, Guyana. It was they were in the national team, and I remember. So I don't know if you know that Mexico is very famous about this cheer that it has in soccer, that it has been sanctioned because it's kind of homophobic, the cheer. But anyways, there was a guy. So since rugby is not big here, the matches are for free. Anybody can walk in and watch the match.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this guy who was about to do this cheer against the other team, and then there another guy who played rugby who said, "Hey, stop! Like, don't do that." And he said, "Hey, this is Mexico. This is our culture, our cheer." And then the other guy said, "I know, but this is rugby, and the first thing that you do is to respect your opponent. So don't do that." So I think like the rugby spirit is amazing because there's like a lot of like respect first, like to your opponent, and yes, and there you have like this sisterhood or brotherhood with your team that I don't see, like I hadn't seen in any other sport before.
Now, TARS, there's a movie in this somewhere, or at least a Netflix or an Apple series. You know, you have Ted Lasso over in coaching soccer in Europe. Have you seen Ted Lasso on Apple TV?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so you're not getting my reference here, but basically it's a series, a very popular series on Apple TV where they've taken a college football coach, American college football coach, and he has gone over to England to coach a Premier League soccer team. And he is very kind of down home wisdom, very common sense, friendly guy. And it's all about him building team chemistry, and it's a great series. You should check it out if you have a chance. But as you are going through the description of rugby and respecting your opponent and the culture in Mexico and trying to overcome, you know, that cheer and other things, it just struck in my mind. This would be a perfect movie or series opportunity.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me about these courses that you took in mountaineering. It was 15 weeks. Every other week, you guys were out doing some kind of climbing activity. The other times where the weekends that you wouldn't go climbing, is it more kind of like classroom activities?
It was, I think like so it would divide into these 5 activities that I mentioned. And then it would be like 2 weekends. And then I think the first day, it was in a classroom to explain very basic things and even the equipment that you use, because it changes from all of these activities. And then the other 3 days, it was maybe the second day, it was very practical in the university about, you know, doing rappelling, about doing some basic knots. And then the second weekend, it was going to the mountain to do one of these activities. The only one that I think it was the three days outside was sports climbing. Yes, but the other ones, and mountaineering actually, because it was first going to to Nevado de Toluca and then to Ista. Yes. So
okay,
that was one that I took, and then the following year, so in 2019, it was only mountaineering. So for this one, during 3 months, I was going to the mountain every weekend. But also we were also it was in between and learning how to do also knots, and then it was I don't remember how to say this in English, but also like when you put we learned how to save someone if it goes into a
crevasse.
In a crevasse to save a person. But it was like also in the school, and then we would go to the mountain, and then finally the last part was going to Pico de Orizaba.
Yeah, tell us about that, because we talked about Nevado de Toluca being at 15,350 feet, but that was not the highest point that you reached. No,
it was, so it was Pico de Orizaba, which is like more than 18,000 feet. So for this one, it was, so this one, it seemed like before, I never thought that I would do this one, because it is really, really difficult. So the good thing is that we were training, almost going only to Iztaccíhuatl. So Ista, I'm going to say, so it's easier.
Yeah, for our listeners out there, Ista is at 17,160 feet, and Pico de Orizaba is 18,491 feet.
Yes.
Okay.
So I got a lot of cred on the PCT when I would mention that I had done this mountain. So yes, so I was going to the Ista almost every weekend and training there and going there. So sometimes then you would get really bad weather, and then like I spent like a lot of like cold nights, very uncomfortable. But then all of that helped me to do Pico de Orizaba. So Pico de Orizaba, we started like at midnight, like 12, and then we were arriving at the peak around 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m. So it was 8 to 9 hours ascent. And then the descent, I think we were arriving, I think, like at 3 p.m. again to the base of the mountain. So it was really difficult.
That's a full day.
The thing about the Pico de Orizaba is that half of the way is like, like a mountain that you, there are parts that you have like this sand that you feel that you're stepping, and you like that you don't advance anything because you're sliding. But then there are also parts that are very walkable. And then at the midpoint, you arrive to the glacier. Once you're in the glacier, you have to be like in full shape. You cannot do the glacier like I'm kind of dying or feeling bad, because actually the glacier is the really hard part, because the glacier is just a peak. The thing is that, for example, Iztaccíhuatl, it also takes a lot of time, but it's just like mountains that you're going a little bit up and down. Pico de Orizaba, Pico means peak, and it's exactly like it's exactly that shape, a peak that you're only going up. You're not going like around the mountain or going down again. You're only going up. So yes, you're zigzagging to make it easier, but you're only going up in a glacier where you only see white. So suddenly you think like this is not ending, because you think that like you can see the peak or the summit, and then it's not there. So you keep going. But it was good actually. Some of my friends said that they felt that they were not going to make it, and for me, I thought just like, of course, like I was so very once I did it, I was very in the mind of doing it, like very head set to do it. But I think the last hour I was just like a zombie walking up to this to the summit, and then once I was there, I cried because it was so difficult. Like I was just like, oh my God, finally I'm here. So it was very difficult, and just like to compare it, I don't think I had a difficult day as difficult as that one on the PCT.
I was going to ask how that compared to your worst day on the PCT.
The thing is that it is very different, because the hard thing about doing the PCT or a true hike is that you have to do it all over again. I mean, you don't do such a hard day as that one. You can do very hard days, especially in the Sierras or in Washington too, but then you have to do it again. You just do that every day.
Every day, day after day, right?
Yes, day after day. And in comparison, if you do a mountain like this at Pico de Orizaba, you do it the weekend, and then the next day you can go back to your bed and rest for the whole week. Maybe again the next weekend another mountain. So it's just like true hiking is hard, but because it's just like your life is walking like every day.
Right. Now, when you started the classes, the 15 weeks, how much time from that first class to when you did Pico?
1 year after, I think.
1 year after? And were you in pretty good shape when you did Pico?
I was in good shape because, yes, I think I was in good shape, but because I was going to during those previous months, I was going to the mountains too.
Okay. Were you strictly training, just doing mountain activities, or were there other types of training that you were doing? Were you also running during the week, or other types of fitness?
Yes, running especially, but mostly that. And then what I would recommend for anybody who wants to do mountaineering, like more than running, I think sit-ups, it is the best exercise to train for a mountain.
Oh, I hate sit-ups.
Okay, so I actually don't like running, but I do run. I've always said that I run for a necessity, just because it's like the means to do something else, to do mountaineering, to play rugby, to do fun activities.
To eat a big hamburger. That's why I run.
Yes, that's a good reason to.
Okay. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into the PCT hike. I can't wait to hear about this. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. The John Freaking Muir Pod is sponsored by Outdoor Vitals, the ultralight backpacking gear company whose mission is to improve the mental, physical, and emotional health of mankind by facilitating impactful outdoor experiences. Outdoor Vitals creates innovative technical products with confidence-inspiring education that empower outdoor ultralight adventurers. Their focus on performance enables you to live ultralight with gear you can actually be confident with. Whether you're looking for an ultralight sleep system, shelter, or pack, or if you're looking for top quality apparel for the trail, you can find it at Outdoor Vitals. Do yourself a favor. Live ultra light. And welcome back. We are talking to TARS. Just heard a lot about some rugby and some mountaineering. And I'm really curious to hear about how you made the transition from mountaineering to through hiking. How did that all take place?
So I actually heard about the PCT for the first time because a friend did it in 2018, which was the year that I took this mountaineering basic mountaineering course. But when he did it, I thought he's crazy. I could never do something like that. Okay,
now let's stop right there just for a second. So your friend, he tells you that he's going to hike the PCT. Did you know what the PCT was when he told you?
He didn't tell me. I just started seeing all his photos on Instagram, or that he was not on Instagram. I think on Facebook he was describing his day by day on the PCT, and I don't know. Like I think his brother posted something, a photo that said that my brother is doing this. He's walking from Mexico to from Tijuana to Canada.
And what did you think when you realized that there was a trail that goes from Mexico to Canada?
I mean, I thought it was amazing that that thing existed, but I don't know. The thing is that the way that he was doing it, I think it was very crazy for me that I didn't think I would ever do the PCT. But actually, it was because I watched the Whimsical Woman's videos. She made a video. I don't know if you know her, but she made a video.
The Whimsical Woman?
Yes.
That's her YouTube or?
YouTube.
Okay.
She made a video like every day of the PCT. And then when I watch all her videos and I say, wow, I think I can do this. Because I think like this girl is more like me, and I can see also it gave me more of an idea, like I could grasp more what the PCT was. Mm-hmm. Because yes, you get like the idea that you stop in towns, that you can meet a lot more people, and then if you see this girl doing it, then you say, okay, I can do it, like I can do it, I can do that too. Mm-hmm. So I think like by the end of 2018 or the beginning of 2019, I knew that I wanted to do the PCT, like for sure, but I just didn't know when I would be able to do it.
Okay. Now, did your mountaineering experience, your time on ISTA and Pico, did that give you some confidence? I mean, you had thought before that, hey, you know, I could never do something like that. And then there you are standing at 18,500 feet, crying at the top of an icy glacier. So did that help you? You know, once you've done something like that, I mean, that's got to give you some confidence that you can tackle just about anything.
Totally. I actually for the PCT didn't prepare a lot, like, and I knew because I was very busy with work, also with applying to the MBA to grad school. So before the PCT, I didn't even have like a list of my gear. I just had everything in the back of my mind. And when I knew that I wasn't, for example, I didn't have even my resupply strategy. I only knew that I could buy everything there. If I needed to send boxes, I would do it. But in terms of hiking, backpacking, camping, all of that, I was super confident. So I think that's like the thing that worries people the most. Like, where am I going to camp? What if something happens? And I was very comfortable being uncomfortable, because especially if you're doing mountaineering, it is very uncomfortable. Like, it always happens that you are like at 1 a.m. Getting out of your tent and think, what am I doing here? So yes, I was just like very confident that, okay, I can take like one step at a time, my time to do like to hike the PCT. Everything else, I know how to do it. So yes, it totally helped me. I was very confident about that because of the mountains.
Now, TARS, I think you may have just struck upon something there. I think you talked about an important life skill, not just a hiking skill or a mountaineering skill, but if you're comfortable being uncomfortable, I think you can accomplish a lot.
Thank you.
That's a deep thought right there. Comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay. Now, how did you get from? Were you living in Mexico City at the time, or down in your hometown?
In Mexico City.
Mexico City. So how far is the starting point of the Pacific Crest Trail from Mexico City?
Oh, it's super far.
Yeah.
It's not. So usually, so because of COVID, I had to fly to LA.
Okay, so this is 2020. You did the hike, or 2021?
Oh, 2021. Yeah, so I did it this year.
You just finished this year. That's right.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. So yes, so because of COVID, the borders like the borders are closed. Well, like how do you say, the land borders are closed.
Right.
So usually I would have taken a flight from Mexico City to Tijuana, and then to Tijuana you can take a bus to San Diego. But since they are closed, I had to fly from Mexico City to LA, then take a train, because I don't know why there weren't any direct flights to San Diego. Maybe also because of COVID, they closed them. So then from LA, I had to take a train to San Diego, and then from San Diego, the 2 buses to go to Campo. So it is, from Mexico City, it is really far. I think you have to, if you wanted to drive there, I think you would have to do at least 20 hours.
Wow. Mexico is long. It is a
Yes.
long country. There's a lot of land there.
Yes, it is big too. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, so that's quite a trek just to get to the starting point. Have you heard of Scout and Frodo?
Yes, I heard of them. But they were not helping foreigners because of I think I don't know if it was, they were retiring, and I think they were planning to do one last year.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But because of COVID, they didn't.
Okay.
So yes, I didn't. I didn't stay with them. Like everybody, I started in the southern terminus by myself. Nobody was there, and I think it was because I see the photos of other years, and you see like 20 people there taking a photo together.
Right. What was your start date?
My start date was May 4th.
May 4th. And when did you finish?
September 21st.
Wow. Yeah, just a month ago today. That's right. We're recording on October 21st. Yeah. May 4th to September 21st. How many 0 days did you take?
I don't really know. I didn't count them.
Didn't count? Okay, that's good.
No.
You didn't weigh your pack after you started the hike. You didn't keep track of your zeros. You just did your hike.
Yes, I think in my life, like in my life, I was very, very detailed about in my work. I had to be very detailed. I was organizing a lot about my MBA, doing all of that. And for me, the PCT was just like a time to just relax, to say, I don't have to do what somebody, task for somebody else. This is just for me.
Right. You're just going to go out there and hike and enjoy and not do too much planning and logistics.
Exactly. Yes.
Got it. Now, leading up to the hike, what was your longest through hike or longest multi-day hike?
I think it was like 3 days.
Wow.
Yes. So, yes, I did this. And I actually, that way, I tested a lot of things, like my HOCAs, for example, because of course I was not doing mountaineering with 12 runners.
Right.
I did do Nevado de Toluca with the 12 runners once, also to try them. No, I wouldn't recommend them. Like to go to the top, like the last part is too steep, and you can feel it in your feet. But it was like it was 3 days, and I think how much. I think it was like 55 kilometers, which is maybe it's like 40 miles, something like that. Yeah, so it wasn't long.
So you went from 3 days, being your longest hike, to May 4th to September 21st. How many days is that?
It was 140 days.
140 days. That's a big jump. What going into this hike? 2,600 miles. Your longest previous hike was probably 40 miles. What were you worried about going into the PCT?
Getting injured and not being able to finish. Yes, I think that was my biggest fear. Like once I decided that I wanted to do it, I knew I could do it. I was I was sure. So it changed a lot from not thinking about it. I didn't go like halfway. Just like, oh, let's see how far I go. No, I was just very set to do it, set to do it all.
Okay.
So yes, I think my biggest worry was getting injured.
Okay. What was your favorite part of the PCT?
The glacier of the Sierras.
The Sierras?
Yeah, the Sierra Nevada.
Yes.
Yeah, it was amazing how also the thing about the outdoors here in Mexico is that you don't have this culture. And it's very sad because you have these amazing mountains where you have people from other countries come to Mexico only to go to do ISTA, to do Pico, and then you don't have these national, those are national parks, but it's very different what a national park means here than in the US. So seeing all of this area of also like Sequoia National Park, like how remote is, and it is remote because it's taken care of, that you cannot get into that like just by driving your car and walking a few miles. So it was so remote, and I think that's why it made it so beautiful. It's just like, I always describe it like being in like a National Geographic video, but also the photos never. I would take photos and I would think this doesn't make justice of what I have in front of my eyes.
TARS, I've got a great story. I know my listeners are probably sick of me telling this story, but it is so good that I just have to tell it. I had a guest on, Jay Wilson, and we were talking about that very concept of, you come back from these hikes and you go to parties, family parties, and your family sees you coming and they turn the other way and say, oh, this person's, they're going to come talk to me about hiking. I don't want to talk about hiking. So they run to the other room or whatever. But when you finally get somebody cornered and you say, it was so gorgeous there, it was beautiful. Here, look at these pictures. And you pull out your phone and you show them the picture and they look at the picture and they say, oh yeah, that's nice. And you're like, no, it's not nice. It is fantastic. It is unbelievable. It is so beautiful. It hurts to be in that moment. And yet they don't get it. They say, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's pretty. And you're like, no, it's not pretty. And Jay had the perfect way to phrase this. He says that 1,000-word pictures don't do justice to million-word places. So the saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yes.
Okay, so that's fine for 1,000-word places, but for million-word places, it doesn't come across.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, so very, very frustrating, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, I remember, but yes, the thing is that when you take those photos, you appreciate them more because you were in that place. And I remember that I was still not out of the Sierras. I was in Mammoth, and I saw my photos, and I still couldn't believe that I had been there. It's unbelievable.
That's right. The only way you get to take that photo is by walking hundreds of miles and putting in all that effort to be in that spot to take that picture.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. So your favorite spot was in the Sierras. What was your least favorite spot on the PCT?
I think Oregon a little bit. The beginning, from NorCal, like the first miles of Oregon. I think because everybody says that Oregon is flat. It is not actually flat. It's like kind of flat. But the thing, I don't think like I felt like the same. Just I feel like for some like a couple of days I felt like I was doing the same without like peaks, and not peaks like literally in the terms like you're going up, but also like peaks. I think also because I'm a person of views. I live for the views, and then you kind of have like these green tunnels, and without any views. So yes, sorry, Oregon.
All you people in Oregon, don't take that personally. So I think
it got better.
Yes. So
the first miles.
So you say you live for the views. So you want to get to a point where you can see spectacular sights, right? Yes. And in Oregon, you're in the trees for a lot of the time, right? Is that
yes,
fair?
Especially the beginning of Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and also the thing is that for some parts that you have around sisters, since this season there were like a lot of fires.
Yeah.
There were some days that you wouldn't see the blue sky. You would see like always this gray sky, and sometimes you wouldn't. I remember that a friend, another hiker, said that like this is my Oregon. You would see the godhooks and the photo that it shows what the view you're supposed to see, and you wouldn't see anything because of all the smoke. You kind of saw the mountain, but you didn't get that spectacular view because it was too smoky.
Right. I'm going to come back to the fires in just a second, but did you do the Oregon Challenge?
No, I didn't.
No
Oregon Challenge, no 24-hour challenge. I was just like
you were just hiking your hike.
Yes, totally. Yes, I mean I was also in a mood that I didn't feel like doing it. I had like I don't know, just like after also like the fires, since I had to skip a lot of miles because of the Dixie fire, and I think that was like my lowest point. So I did California and then Oregon. I didn't feel like doing a challenge. I was just like, I need to keep going. I cannot do a challenge right now.
Right. Now, this was a year of fires in Northern California. And I believe in Oregon too, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, not on the PCT, but it was on Oregon. It was all of the fires were more to the east side of the state. The PCT is a little bit more on the west side. So but you would get all the smoke because of the wind, depending of the on the wind.
Yeah, and that is terrible, being stuck in smoky conditions like that. I mean, that's what you're trying to escape from. You're going out into nature to be out in the clear air and see these views, and to be stuck in that is just horrible.
Yes, the thing is that I don't know, I mean, the smoke is annoying. Let's say it's annoying, and it gets you tired, because I remember that there was this day in Oregon that I did 30 miles and I was feeling really, really tired, like really tired, but I'm sure it was, not tired because of the 30 miles. I felt like, I don't know, I think it was because of the smoke.
Like you'd smoked a couple of packs of cigarettes.
I don't smoke. So, but I mean, the smoke is annoying, but the worst thing was the actual fires that in NorCal were on the Dixie Fire was on the PCT. At some point you couldn't, it was closed. Like the towns were closed, that there was no way you could do the PCT. Mm-hmm. And it was even really hard to skip that section, because those were not like big towns that you could just take a ride and skip those miles.
Mm-hmm. And I saw a headline about a month ago. I don't remember which paper, what publication it was, and I didn't actually read the article, but the headline was striking. It says, "Is the PCT no longer hikeable because of climate change and the fires that are taking place?" Which was really, really depressing.
Yes. So also, I don't know if you know, like, the situation of this year in the Sierra Nevada, that there was no snow.
Yeah, I was out there end of July, early August, and there was nothing on the ground.
Yes. So, I mean, this of course comes from it was like a drought. So I think it was like the second biggest drought in 100 years this year. So it was, you can see, starting from the desert, that it's very dry. Then in the Sierra, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's easier. No micro spikes." Yes, of course, it's physically easier, but that means that there's like a background to this. It's because there's a drought, and that's why there's no snow. And then you're supposed to, in NorCal, fire season which is already sad that there's a fire season, but it's supposed to start, I think, around August, and then this was around July. It was, at some point they closed, they closed all of NorCal, and yes, everybody who was going solo had to leave the trail. So yes, and also I remember that I was, before Tahoe City, there was some point that I could see fire, not fire, but the smoke in front of the trail. And I remember, like, my friends wanted to backtrack to leave, but then we saw the map that was going, okay, the fire was here, the trail is going the other way, and then we just kept going. So yes, it's like the fire, it really affects a lot now the PCT, and for me it was really a low point, because in my mind I thought, this is not what I expected of. This is not how I envision my hike. Yeah.
Now, you said that your least favorite spot was maybe Oregon. A lot of people would say the desert, would say that, the first 700 miles, they're pretty tough miles. I mean, big water carries, snakes, the heat. That didn't bother you?
No, I think I'm thankful to the desert, because, so as I said, like, I didn't prepare that much physically to do the PCT, but for me the desert was like a school, like, from doing small miles to doing that last week of from Tehachapi to Kennedy Meadows was, when you feel you say I got my trail legs, because I was doing and it's like very steep, very hot, very steep, no water. And I felt that I was killing it. Then I remember I was doing on average like 28 miles every day on that week. Then when I started the Sierras, I was feeling so strong. And in my mind, I was like, it was because of the desert. Also, like, yes, one thing is that I don't think I suffer the heat as much as other people. Of course it was hot, but I would see people taking breaks and I would just keep going. So yes.
Toughed it out. Very good. Very good. Hey, did you ever find yourself in a situation where you thought, oh my gosh, what am I doing out here? What have I gotten myself into? Are there any big uh-oh moments for TARS out there?
I think the most uncomfortable, like for that, or maybe not thinking what am I doing here. I was just more thinking like, I hope I don't get to that state of mind. It was in Washington that it was like the weather started getting bad. It started raining and then it was turning cold. So I think like my superpower was that I can get through the heat. I prefer, in Washington, I was like, I miss the desert. So I'd rather be sweating and all hot than being cold. I'm a baby for the cold. Yes, and even though I do mountaineering, I'm still like a baby. So yeah, so there was like these days that were really hard because of the rain and the cold. And I was just thinking, I hope it doesn't keep going like this for like day after day, because then I don't want to go into that mindset of what am I doing here. I don't want to be here. I didn't want to be in that mindset. But I think that was the closest I got to be.
Okay, so a mountaineer who does not like the cold.
Yeah.
Very good. Hey, I know you started the trail alone. Did you pick up any friends along the way? Did you become part of a tramily, or was it a solo venture the whole way?
In the desert, I was it was the time when I camped and hike by myself a lot. I was going from group to group, but then until Kennedy Meadows, I joined like a group of hikers that I had met before, and we did the Sierras together. And from the Sierras till the end, we were together. Yes, I stayed with them.
Okay, do you remember their trail names?
Yes, it's Fat Peanut, Tennis Mom, Shade, Little Wing, Mariposa.
Okay, Fat Peanut and Tennis Mom. Those are good trail names.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, what did you learn about yourself from the PCT? What you've had a month now to think about this. You're off the trail. What did you discover about yourself out there?
I think the most important thing is like to let things flow. Like I think things will just fall into place, because yes, so especially this rule that we would make rules on the, like with my family, we would make rules on the about the trail. Like rule number 1, the thing that you really need is in the bottom of your pack. And then there was one rule that said like plans always change. So this thing of plans always change, it goes to hand like let things flow, just everything will fall in place. Because yes, I think like my life back home was like so planned, like yes, like work, do the PCT, do a master, that it was like really, really stressful. And then on the trail, it's like everything, even if you think that, I don't want to take an extra 0 because I'm going to fall behind. In the end, I'm going to lose my these friends that I just met. You end up seeing them again, like everything falls into place, like just let things flow. And that goes to like being a little bit more relaxed on how to take things. So yes, I think that's very important. So, but I really want to get that and apply that to my real life. So
let it flow.
Yes.
Nice. All right. Hey, what's next for TARS? What's your next adventure?
So definitely, so I want to do this. I want to go to the mountains this couple of months before I leave to Spain, and I will definitely go to do Camino de Santiago because there. I know it's easier to do, and not only because you don't have to carry like all your life in your backpack, but also because there are different routes that you can do, like 1 week route or 1 month route.
That's right. Yep.
Yes, let's see that. But definitely keep doing trails. So yes, of course, the PCT changed my, like, it's an experience, like it's an adventure of a lifetime, but it also changes your life.
Okay. Any aspirations for some big mountains in Europe?
Yeah, I mean, of course, in Europe, I want to go to the Alps. But then actually before doing Pico de Orizaba and training, like all this technical training, wasn't only for Pico de Orizaba, but for doing a mountain in South America. So definitely I want to do that, but then I have to start training and like technical training again. So I have to see, that's definitely a goal that I have in my life.
Okay.
Yes.
And you have to get back into rugby.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, let's do a top 5 list real quick. We're going to do a top 5 list on something we have not talked about, but I'm curious about. We can work this in this way. What are your top 5 types of food on the trail? What were your favorite food items?
So number 1 is Cliff Bars.
Cliff Bars, number 1. Okay.
So everybody would say, like, look at me like a little bit disgust to me, but I ate Cliff Bars from the beginning till the end as my main snack.
Okay.
And I would still do it again. So I didn't get, like, they were so efficient and I like them. I never, like, there are like a lot of flavors. I never got rid of, tired of them. So I know a lot of people won't relate to this, but yes. So that's one. Another one is like ramen for dinner, but especially Shin ramen. I would never do top ramen. Always Shin ramen, or it has to be something else.
Okay.
A third one would be apple cider. It was amazing. It was very soothing and it made you feel good. Fourth one would be, what else? I don't know. I don't know, just like candy, I think. Just like gummies, these ring gummies. And a fifth one, I don't know, a fifth one.
So what I'm hearing is there was a lot of Cliff Bars and ramen on the trail for you.
Yes.
Okay. Keeping it simple.
Yes, but Shin ramen. Yes, I had like in the Sierras, like a lot of people had difficulty fitting all their food in the bread canister, and I was able to do it just because of the simplicity. Very classic hiker diet.
You could fit 124 Cliff Bars into your bear canister.
I don't know. But I don't remember how many I fit. I think I took like 24 Cliff Bars once, like in my bear canister.
Oh man, too much of even a good thing makes you sick of it. And you didn't have that experience. You were Cliff Bar from day one to the very end.
Yes. Also because I don't think you can find them here in Mexico. So I thought, like, also I would think like, oh, I won't even see them in Mexico again. So it's okay.
Hey TARS, you know where we are?
I think that time of the pro tip.
Oh, look at you. Yes, you're right on schedule here. That's right. It's time for our pro tip insight of the week. What little nugget of wisdom can you share with our listeners to make their next outdoor experience even better?
Definitely be in the moment. Like, if you are in the outdoors, in the mountain, on the trail, be there. Like your mind, be there. Because I saw a lot of people I even saw like a girl that was about to quit because she was very focused on her problems back home, things about her ex. So you cannot do anything. Like that's the amazing thing about the PCT, that you get to disconnect and be like in this bubble of magic bubble. So just be in the moment. Also, I think like there was a week for me that I was also worrying about things that I had to go do back when I would get back home. And I was getting really stressed, which didn't make sense. So totally be in the moment, just enjoy the moment, because also you will miss it.
That's right. It's absolutely a travesty to be out in the middle of all this beauty and you thinking about problems back home, or what problems are waiting for you back home.
Exactly.
You're robbing yourself of that moment out there in the glorious outdoors.
Yes.
Okay. So there you have it. That's it. This episode is just about in the books. Hope our listeners enjoyed our time with TARS. Want to thank her for joining us this week. TARS, how can our listeners keep up with you on social media, and where can they find updates on your next adventures?
So people can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Lulu Aguiniga. Yes. So maybe the the last name a little bit difficult, but yes.
Do you want to spell it for folks?
Yes, it's it's Lulu, and then Aguiniga is Aguiniga.
Okay. Very good. Remember to check out the pod on social media as well. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And if you have comments or clips you want to share, you can send it to me at johnfreakinmuir@gmail.com. TARS, I'm also looking to you to share a recommendation for a book, a movie, a documentary, some kind of adventure media to keep our listeners connected to the outdoor experience. What do you have for us?
There's this document. Well, it's like a short film. It's about, I don't know if you've heard of Ramuris, these runners in the northern part of Mexico that run in sandals and do ultra marathons. So there's this film on Netflix that it's called Lorena. I think it's Lorena Lightweight Feet. Something like this.
Lorena Lightweight Feet?
Yes, Yes, Lorena Light-Footed Woman.
Okay.
Called. So it's about this girl who has won ultramarathons worldwide, even in Spain, winning a number, like getting first place. And she runs in sandals. She has been approached by, I think at Salomon sends her shoes, and she still keep running on sandals.
Wow. Okay, I'll have to check that out. And before we wrap things up, I've got one more segment for you called What Have I Not Asked You That You're Dying to Tell Us About? What did I miss?
I don't know. I can tell. I don't know if a question, but maybe maybe like it's around the toughest part of the PCT for me. Mm-hmm. So because you did ask about like what if there was a point of like what did I got myself into. It was not about the trail, but I got sick. Like I got shingles. Ooh. On day 10. I was in Idlewild, so I got shingles. I don't know if you know like what this is.
Yeah, it's kind of related to chickenpox, and I hear it's pretty painful.
Yes. So I got shingles like in the day 10. I had to take 5 straight zeros. Maybe that's why I decided not to count them, because when you're starting, it's really hard. Like you just want to keep going. You don't want to take zeros. And it was totally because of the life I was having before the trail. I was very, very stressed in my real life, and then I think my body like kind of relaxed also because of my immune system or my body getting used to the trail. You know, like all these changes, and then it came to shock, and then I had this. I was very sick, so that's why I say it wasn't about the trail, walking, but it was really, really difficult. But then I feel very proud that even though I got this, I got sick with this, I still kept going and I finished the PCT. So really proud about this. In hindsight, it's amazing to think that I got sick with that.
That's quite an accomplishment. Are you sad now that you're off the trail?
Yes, it's weird to be here. It's weird to see people. And also I remember that when I was in Washington, I would say that I would never do a trail this long again, that I would maybe do a trail like 3 months long. But now that I'm here, if I could, I would do the PCT again next year.
It's funny how the mind works. The mind, after a time, it forgets about the pain and the trauma, and just remembers the good things. And you focus on the good things, and you end up doing stuff again like that.
It was totally type 2 fun, and I live with this saying all the time, that it was totally like type 2 fun, because also that's what mountaineering is, that you're suffering. And then you remember, and you're on the car, like going back home, and you're already thinking, like, so next week, what am I going to do? So yes, it's because I have plans already, but I think if I could, I would do it next year, the PCT. I don't know, or another trail, but I would even do the PCT again.
TARS, you've done it again. I just realized something from something you said. That, you talked about type 2 fun and you don't, you're not having fun when you're doing it, but you have a lot of fun talking about it and remembering it. And that is what I just explained. I've explained many times to people that, the brain forgets the bad times and you just remember the good times. And that is essentially what's behind type 2 fun, is that you didn't enjoy it in the moment, but you forget about that stuff and you just remember the good stuff. So that you have put that together for me. So thank you. Okay. Hey, any desire to be a triple crowner?
I don't know. I don't know right now. I know that I don't see myself doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I say that I want to do a trail like next year, if I could, I think about the PCT again or the CDT. But I don't know right now because I have this plan of going back to school next year.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens next. It's always it will be always in the back of my mind. Like when I decided the PCT, it was I didn't have a moment that I'm doing it this year. But it was in the back of my mind. And when I saw the possibility that I could fit it in here, I did it. So, yes, but right now I cannot say.
Hey, TARS, I've got an idea. Just let it flow.
Yes, exactly.
Let it flow. All right. Hey, that's a wrap from the John Freaking Muir studio. Any shout outs to friends and family, TARS?
Yes, of course. Especially my family who bought me shoes. I didn't have to buy any of my trail runners. They always bought my shoes. And of course, my friends who follow the PCT, who once I saw them here, I didn't have to do a wrap up of my trail. They were up to date of what I did.
Nice. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Always remember, the trail is the trail. It doesn't care if you want to go downhill. It doesn't care if it's almost dark and you're looking for a campsite. It doesn't even care if you're down to the last of your 124 Cliff Bars and you've got a bad case of shingles. The trail is the trail. Embrace the suck.